Hello, I'm Jared Pressler with Lucky Bamboo Tattoo. Today we are going to be going over the differences between good and bad tattoos. I posted a poll online months ago because we've done a couple, I guess, educational type videos, and we were asking what people would like us to do or see or educate them on as far as tattoos go. And this got the most votes, so we're doing this one first. So hopefully it provides some education and information, and would love to hear your feedback. So let's get started. Some of the many things to look at and consider when looking at portfolios or people's work in person, either way. Outlines are one thing to look at and make sure they're consistent. They're not double lined, they're not scratchy, they're not wobbly. They're smooth, deliberate lines. Shading. Shading should be smooth. It shouldn't have that scratchy look that a lot of poor work has that I see. Should be consistent. The design is really important. I know a lot of people these days take things off the internet and just kind of copy them. Most tattoo shops, reputable artists these days are custom, and designing is a big part of the tattoo process. The design can kill the tattoo. If it's a poor design, doesn't flow and fit the body well, it doesn't matter how good the tattoo's done. It'll just look weird and won't be well executed, in my opinion. Consistency. What I mean by that is the gradients are smooth, the values are smooth from one to another. There's not, one area that's kind of saturated and another area that's very well saturated and one that's poorly saturated. The tattoo should be consistent throughout the whole thing, which touches on saturation. When I say saturation, it should be, for example, if it's a flower and they're tattooing a red flower, then it should be saturated well with red. It shouldn't be, an area of the rose that is really red and some that's not. You can see if a tattoo is deliberately saturated or not, or if it's just kind of shaded with color. Because there are some artists that do that, and there is a difference, but we're not going over that. We're going over, we're just going to keep things more simple on this video. And oops, sorry about that. I'm trying to keep things more simple so we don't make it really long and just touch on the basics and hopefully provide some information. Smooth, again, smooth blends. The tattoo should just look smooth. Like I said, it shouldn't have that scratchy look. All the colors, and if it's a gray wash, should be blended well. Should be a smooth transition from one value to another. I'll show you some of those with photos. So here's some poorly done tattoos, thanks to Tattoo Now. I'll start with this skull here. You see the scratchy black and gray that I've been talking about. There's some double lines, really wobbly outlines, just really bad tattoos. Same thing with this, wobbly lines, scratchy, looks like a little kid tried to color it in, and scratchy shading. One value on all of these, there's maybe at the most two values. A black over here on this Hanya, and then a light and really scratchy, shaded in. Wobbly lines. There's a lot of people, surprisingly, that are proud of their poorly done tattoos, and I believe they just don't know the difference between the two. I'm guessing, I don't know what other logic there is, but here's a tattoo that Christina did, and you see the difference. The outline is very crisp, very smooth, very deliberate, straight lines. The color is really smooth. The blends are smooth. There's a lot of value in this tattoo, from black or really dark shading clear up to white. A good tattoo will always have those. Here's a side-by-side comparison. You see how clear it is, how crisp it is, how smooth it is compared to this tattoo. Here's a rose. The saturation actually isn't too bad. They got the color in pretty well. It's a horrible photo. It looks like it has ointment on the tattoo when they took the photo, which that's another red flag. I would stay away from artists that have a lot of that in their portfolio. Normally, if they're not clear photos, I feel a lot of time there's something to hide. It's very poorly blended. It goes from black straight to red. There's no midtones. There's no other shades of red. Here is a rose that I did. You see there's everything from black up to the lightest red. There's a lot of value in here, all the way up the value scale. It's very clear, it's very crisp. This one is not. Move on to another one. There's a portrait. It's very poorly done. Not to mention it doesn't look like Salvador Dali, but there's only 2 tones in here that I see. There's black, and well, there's a teeny bit of a mid-tone, and then there's this light, semi-light shade that is covering 90% of the face. Here's one that Daryl did that is done properly. I know there's a lot of photos that aren't of Marilyn Monroe that aren't that great. A lot of them are older photos, washed out. So that's why her face is so light in so many portraits. But anyway, you see we have the whole value scale from black clear up to the lightest shades up here in the forehead. It's very smooth, very crisp. You see the difference. This one kind of, I don't know, it's not soft, it's very harsh and rigid. Here is a koi tattoo that is not good. It looks like it could have been by 2 different people, I don't know, but neither the background or the foreground is good, so I'll touch on both. Koi fish, since there's a couple of us here that do Japanese, they shouldn't be small like this. I call them guppies, koi guppies. The finger waves are not done well. Japanese is, I won't get too in-depth on Japanese, it's a lot of information in itself as far as the style goes. Very scratchy shading, inconsistent blends. The background is horrible. This person has no clue what they're doing, but here is a koi fish that Robert did that's very smooth. The shading in the background is very smooth. There's a lot of depth to the koi. He obviously has a lot of experience with Japanese. There is the side-by-side difference. Hopefully most of these are pretty self-explanatory and you can see the difference of quality. Here is a lion. This one pretty much speaks for itself. I don't know what to say about this. Here's a line that I did. Again, I have the whole value scale from the darkest clear up to the lightest. White in here goes from black to white. Got the whole value scale in there. It's very smooth, very crisp, very clean. There's the side-by-side. I tried to find some tattoos that just weren't necessarily horrible, that were kind of good, to try to make this a little harder. It was actually a struggle to find tattoos. I looked for hours trying to find the right tattoos I wanted to pick to use as the bad tattoo references. I found a lot of bad tattoos. I was trying to find ones that were more in the middle of bad and good. But anyway, final pointers. Portfolio should be consistent. I wouldn't go with an artist that has some really good work and then some really bad work. There's a lot of artists, unfortunately, or so-called artists, that steal other people's work and put them in their portfolio and act like they did them to get work, and in turn they can't do that quality anyway, so I don't know the point, but I guess they can be rock stars for the moment. Smooth colors and shading. A lot of this is recapping, I know, but again, the colors should be smooth. It should be a smooth transition from a dark to a light value, or let's say a red to an orange, etc. Consistent and smooth outlines. That's something that I look close at, like if I'm hiring an artist or just observing their work. The color and shading doesn't have that scratchy look that I touched on. Looks like, it's colored in with a marker or pen, just I don't know, scratchy is the only way that I can describe it. Photos are clear without glare. I know some tattoos it's hard to get, especially if they're freshly done, hard to get without the glare, but the one I showed you with the ointment, that's a lot different. That's just a wet tattoo. A reputable, experienced tattoo artist will not take a photo like that. So it's a red flag. And the last is do some research online. If you find an artist you like, just take an hour and just Google them, look around, see what you find, read reviews, go in and meet them, see if you like them in person. Just do some research. A lot of people jump into tattoos so fast, and I ask them, why did you get it when we're covering it up or fixing it? And they say, well, he did my friends, and my friends was good. That's the most common we hear, which I can't believe it. They probably just didn't know what to look for, didn't look at it close, didn't inspect it. A good artist isn't going to do a bad tattoo one day and a good the next. So anyway, do some research, and hopefully this video has been helpful. Again, I'd like to hear your feedback. If there's other things that we can add or touch on in the future, I would love to know. Thanks.